Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome General Manager James Harvey.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be here with you. Some of you that were here last year might remember that I was on this stage a year ago and it was day 4 on the job for me. You want to talk about not getting much sleep that night and feeling a little overwhelmed. But it's a year later and a lot has changed. A year ago we launched the application economy and business rewritten by software. We started the conversation here at this conference. And if you take a look a year later, here we are, and there's no question that the age of digital transformation is here. Mike talked about it, gave a ton of examples in his keynote this morning, and some interesting examples. It's here, but the other thing beyond it just being here is it is clearly moving faster. And you know, I think about this, we like to talk about Uber and Airbnb, but it's gone down to almost every single one of our organizations. I was on the phone last week with Ricoh. You might think of Ricoh, former, been into hardware and printing. They're doing a transformation where they're turning their company into a services and a software company. Had dinner last night with a software company. It was really nice to talk to. We compare war stories of what it's like to build software. They were one of my former clients back in my consulting days. They are the leader in their category, providing medical software. And you know, they're talking about the same thing, how they're having to transform themselves, even the ways that they build software to move faster. A lot of new entrants coming in, using new business models and new technologies, cloud, SaaS, et cetera. So it's affecting all of us. But my favorite way that it's affecting me is my car insurance company. I have a 16-year-old daughter, and we now have a camera and an app in the car, and if there's any erratic behavior in the car or changes in driving direction, I get an alert with data. And since I have a daughter who specializes in erratic driving, I feel much better being here in Vegas while she's at home. All right, so a lot has changed. Part of what is driving the increasing speed of digital transformation is Agile. And you guys notice the name of the booth here. We're going to talk about Agile today. Now, some of us in the audience are interested in Agile. Others of us are doing other types of projects where maybe right now it doesn't really apply to us, but we're going to speak to both. So there's no question Agile is causing teams to speed up. We implemented it in our team, and we've already started seeing the results. Those of you that were PPM customers that over a year ago you were seeing releases every 9 to 12 months, you've seen 3 releases in the past 18 months. Every 6 months we're releasing now and implementing Agile. It's causing us to move up faster. But now Agile is going to be moving beyond just affecting application development teams and IT, where analysts are estimating as much as 60% of projects are getting executed using Agile methods. Now it's going to move beyond just those teams and hit other teams. Ryan's going to talk a bit more about this when he comes up. But if we're delivering software faster, I can tell you even in our own teams, it means product marketing is having to react faster to those releases. The sales organization has to react faster to taking on those new capabilities. It's hitting our business, it's hitting your businesses, some of your businesses, and increasingly it's going to not just hit more and more of your businesses, but more and more of your functions outside of just IT and application development. So, we came out of CA World a year ago. We talked about the application economy, digital transformation, and we had a new management team in our business unit, and we took a pause to re-examine the market and to re-examine the areas around how organizations are doing planning, building, and servicing of application services and projects. One of the things that we saw, we grab my clicker here. Thank you, sir. One of the things that we saw, and this chart right here from Gartner really reinforces it, is that as organizations are adopting Agile, it doesn't mean everything just goes to Agile, right? We still have lots of projects that we're getting done. Some of those projects are big, complex projects that require PMPs, and they require an understanding of critical path, complex scheduling, right? They're projects that just aren't right now the workloads, for instance, that might just be managed through other methods. We might call it waterfall methods as an example. But clearly the emergence of, on the right-hand side, of adaptive PPM is coming. And this is where we see more and more, we see smaller teams, faster moving teams delivering in smaller increments. It's a clear trend within our customer base. We did the research earlier this year with over 60 of our customers. We conducted about 200 interviews. At 1 o'clock we'll be showing this research and the new design for PPM that's coming out as a result of it. But we have clear data that that right side is emerging. So what do we do about it? Well, we have sessions that are going to talk about the revamp of the strategy for products like PPM and service management, as well as for Rally, now called Agile Central. Well, definitely, you can get into more details, but one of the things that led us to believe is that we needed to help our customers make that transition into their digital transformation. And Agile, we had to have an answer for Agile. So we looked, like we normally do. We oftentimes look at companies to acquire. We looked at whether or not we would build it ourselves and how quickly we could get to market, how quickly we could get new capabilities into our customers' hands. And the company that we came across in Rally was, there weren't a lot of options, frankly, because most of these companies couldn't scale up to the enterprise level that, frankly, most of you require. There were a couple of companies, Rally was one of them, but Rally had a few extreme differentiators to it. Number one, as I mentioned, they could handle Agile at scale out of the gate for those of you who are doing it today and you're doing it at scale. Number two, and equally importantly, not every customer is a big giant company or has a big giant IT shop or application development shop, or some of you, even who are, need to start and you're going to start small. Rally had transformation consulting services. These are not implementation consultants. These are folks who help you implement Agile, Scrum, and they help you do it really, really well. And then we add in software that then helps you automate that and do it at bigger scale and faster and more effective. That was something that for us was gold, because we can't just hand a product over and expect that to transform an organization. They have the consulting services that help. Number three, frankly, they just had better products. They did. And when I say better products, I'm talking about better products that are proven in SaaS at scale, high scale. And I came from, I think some of you, I shared this with you before, and coming from Taleo, when Oracle acquired us, we were the second largest software as a service company, and I'd been around SaaS quite a bit, and I look at the SaaS operations of this organization, and it was frankly, it was better than we were at Taleo. So the last thing that I'll offer, and then we'll move on in the presentation and talk a little bit more about the conference and some things to look out for, is Rally, their people. Their people are phenomenal. You're going to hear Ryan Martens come up and speak in just a second. He was the founder of Rally. But the caliber of folks who have joined our organization, who are thinking about project management and have seen multiple ways and multiple methods through which it can be practiced, that is an infusion of talent into an already talented team that we have in PPM, who've created a market-leading PPM product. We've now added that team in conjunction with them. And so you're going to see more and more of it as you guys get out on the floor and meet some of the folks in our new Agile Central group, which again is the new name for what was formerly named Rally Software. All right, so just go ahead and move forward here. So, you can't just get from here to there overnight. Do you guys know? Getting from point A to point B requires time, it requires expertise, it requires technology. And so here's how we've come into this session and how we're thinking about it and how we've set up a lot of the booths, the customer presentations, the product presentations. We're all on a journey. Even my team is on a journey. We can do way better in the way that we're building software, the technologies we're using, the practices that we're using. We've gotten a lot better over the past year, but we're all on a journey. And for some of you, we know that you may not have any interest. Many of you are PPM customers, and maybe right now you're not ready to talk about Agile. You just want to understand, I've got a big investment in PPM. I'd like to see what the product team is doing. I'd like to see the new capabilities, and we've had 3 releases over the past 18 months, a release we just had within the past month. You'd like to see it. Great. We have those sessions set up. We have customer sessions. We have booths where you can see it. At 1 o'clock, I'm going to be presenting the results of our research that we did, our ethnographic research that many of you have heard about, and some of you have participated in. I'll be sharing that along with a new view, what we call a design vision. It's a directional view of where we're taking the user interface. So that's at 1 o'clock, and I believe that is right here on this stage if you're interested in seeing it. For those of you that are interested in Agile, maybe you're curious, or maybe you're wildly excited about it, we have a lot for you as well. We have the Agile Transformation Zone, which we'll talk about a little bit later, where you can go and you can begin to learn. We have sessions from Agile Central customers who'll be presenting, and they'll be presenting their journey. And then, of course, we have product booths as well as roadmap sessions as well. So we'll share a little bit more of that later. But what we want you to hear is we're here to engage you in wherever you're at in your digital transformation journey and to help you along the way. And so now what I'd like to do to talk a little bit more about Agile, not more, but in more depth, is Ryan Martens. And Ryan is the founder of Rally. He is now my colleague and my teammate. I get really inspired when I listen to Ryan talk about the potential of Agile and the growth and maturity levels around it. I learn a lot. I'm probably going to be down here taking some notes, but I think you're really going to enjoy hearing from Ryan, so please give a welcome to Ryan.
Thank you, James.
Absolutely.
Thank you, James. If it's not obvious from everybody here, we're feeling pretty quite at home. It was a wonderful welcome by James, obviously, and the team as to how we could play a role at CA, but also obviously a wonderful welcome this morning from Mike in how the organization thinks about where the future is and the disruption and the notions this morning about, we'll talk a little bit more about flow in that concept space. I started Rally 12 years ago, actually 13 years ago, after being at BEA Systems, where I helped run product management across that organization, and that led me to actually start Rally. Some of the successes that we had at BEA were numerous, but some of the failures were also pretty extreme as we took a very agile organization and transformed that into BEA Systems. But at that point in time, we were shipping those little round plastic disc things, right? And those little round plastic disc things, it turned out customers didn't want them every 3 months. It turned out also that the sales reps weren't ready to talk about the new capabilities every 3 months. So we had an experience going into BEA where we got put on into an 18-month release cycle after shipping 5 releases in 3 months. That nearly killed our organization. We took an 120-person, very agile organization that was used to shipping every 3 months, and we changed their environment, and their behavior changed. We put 35 features in progress day 1 because all of our engineers were done, and we created exactly the same kind of spectacular failures that others have created by doing that. Hit none of our dates, and managed to ship something that was just terrible. Thank goodness the WebLogic 7 server was just as terrible, and we never saw that product really get to the light of day. That's the failure story. The success stories are numerous, and there's lots of them here to talk about inside the organization. At Rally and in the founding of what we've started with, and then I think what you heard today from Mike in the keynotes was we believe that those teams that can come together in a diverse way and in a cross-functional way are the key atomic engines to being able to drive innovation in business. They're the ones who are going to solve those hard problems. They're the ones that are the atomic piece that move critical problems, wrestle those with amazing solutions. To be able to keep those teams in flow and to be able to keep them driving both a balance of execution as well as innovation, that's the challenge. And we build obviously software for that. James talked about the services. We'll talk to you a little bit about what you can see here in that regard. And we'll talk about the community that we brought as well as CA brought. In the acquisition process, a number of you had an impact. We have a number of joint customers who were pulling for even making things even closer together. And that was definitely one of the rationales that came across to our management team as well as the CA management team. And this was an acquisition being pulled by customers, being pulled by analysts, being pulled by the marketplace to solve larger scale problems. If you, like the rest of us, or at least like me, went to school in the 20th century, we all got schooled in this notion of an operating system of how the business should run. That is, we start with some really annual budgets that we turn the knobs on. We do some comprehensive analysis associated with how can we get 5% more productivity out of resources, teams, efforts in the business. We do that then through very detailed plans. In a lot of cases, that was waterfall execution. I'm trained as a civil engineer. I learned critical path method going through school to roll out some of the best bridges and buildings on the planet. It's fantastic when you know what you're building. When you don't know what you're building and you have to discover that along the way, the structure has some inherent problems in it. Unfortunately, the successes of all of our businesses have been built with that method, and we've seemed to have lost the notion of the young startup in all of us. And that's understandable. To get to scale, to get to the size and effectiveness of our organizations, we've had to be able to do this on 100,000, 200,000 person organizations around the planet. As a result, we've taken a project management methodology and pretty much driven that into our IT organizations. It says, hey, we're going to drive utilization up. And when we think about utilization, it's about resources. We're going to make sure we conform to the plan, and that's how we're going to judge ourselves, right? We're going to drive variability out of the system, because if there's variability in the plan, inherently it's going to cause us to miss the dates that we have. So that's bad in most of the way we think about this process. And as a result, we're going to judge this through stages engaged, through sign-offs of documents along the way. That method takes out the innovation. It takes out the ability to work quickly. In contrast, if you look at teams that are oriented towards flow, as the Keynote panel talked about, you're working to drive your cycle time down. And I mean the cycle time from idea to market. From when do we see the first customer's eyes? The first customer's eyes are the things that keep us from doing the goozle thing, right? The alpha, beta, ship, oh crap. And I mean, oh crap, we missed in a hardware sense, we missed in a scalability sense, we missed in a usability sense, we missed in a desirability sense. You can't figure that out. You're not building bridges. You're not building the 100th steel bridge across a river that's 100 feet wide. We know how to do that. That's what detailed plans are great for when we're trying to manage the digger on a site. When you're trying to manage the flow of innovation to capture the imagination and the desirability of customers, that can only happen through fast feedback loops and fast cycles. Instead of trying to manage to hit the plan, our goal now is not to manage to cut the resource pool by 5%, it's to capture the revenue. We've spent a lot of time, and it's a lot easier to talk about capturing the costs and controlling them. Think about the missed opportunities that we talked about this morning that are presented and coming faster and faster. It's about finding the revenue and managing the flow of life cycle profits for an offering in the marketplace. As you get closer with your business counterparts, this is the discussion. They don't care what the utilization of the resources were. They care about, are the customers pulling what you're shipping? To do that, you have to drive innovation into the system. And that means continuously into the system at the engineering level, at the usability and design level, at the architecture levels. Those are the things that are going to allow you to run faster in this cycle. And finally, as everybody talked about this morning, the measure is not about hitting your stages and gates. It's about being able to confront the customer more quickly. That becomes the recipe for shortening this, bending this horseshoe up to the top and making the cycle from idea to market shorter. We've done this with a lot of customers over 12 years, and a number of you are here in the audience, and that is just That's what makes this integration so interesting to us, is that you brought us here together to solve this problem, not just at the lowest level around development and operations, but at the middle levels around portfolio capability and being able to bring the right people to bear on the problem, and at the highest levels to how do we integrate more tightly with the business and give them some of the disciplines that we have on the IT and the product development side of the business to be able to hit the goals that the business has got. That's the exciting part. That's the work I do with a lot of our customers, shoulder to shoulder, being able to help them work their way through this process. Our goal in this is to put you on this expert curve. There is no silver bullet. We don't sell silver bullets. There isn't one I've ever found. It comes through a systems-based approach, and it comes through lots of little lead bullets all along the way. When you start thinking about silver bullets, you end up on this pink curve down at the bottom. Oh, Agile doesn't fit. Why does it not fit? Because we see the operating system of the business and we see something that's trying to spin faster, and there's a little bit of a mismatch here. We get a lot of pull in bringing this into the digital parts of the business first, and we get a lot of organizations who say that's never going to touch the rest of the business. I've been at organizations who rev their SAP system on a weekly basis. It absolutely can affect the entire part of your business. There's no question about that. How you bring that in and at what pace and how far and how fast you want to go is really up to you. We're here to help you stay on that expert curve and help you find the urgency and set the visions necessary to get there. A lot of people also deal with Agile as a destination, and for them it's a world of amateurism. They think of it as an engineering-only thing. They think of it as these teams that are now more quality-focused. They're having more fun. They're able to attract millennials into the business. They're able to keep the engineering organization going. But as a result of not solving the DevOps problem or of not solving the funding problem, their impact of agility is lessened. In fact, it's measured in 30, 50, 80% better. I've got customers who are 8 times better and 10 times larger in what they've been doing over the last 6 years. The impact of this, of closing that horseshoe, can be measured 8 times better. That's the opportunity. There's lots of legs here in this. The reason there are lots of legs in this piece is it's really simple. It's about queuing theory. It's about how work flows through the system. If you think about it like a highway, most of your highways are clogged and they've reached congestion collapse. And as a result, nothing's flowing through your system. You're working the heck out of everybody, but there's nothing coming out the back end. If you can work in small batches, and if you're willing to make a sudden change in how you do that, you can have an immediate impact. And I mean, take of the 150 things on your backlog and say to 120 of those later. But we're going to focus on the 10 to 15 that are really going to move through the system. By doing that, you increase your speed, you confront your customer earlier, and then you get to benefit from fast feedback. Fast feedback comes from confronting the customer, and if it's bad, you can dampen it. If it's good, you can amplify it. But if you don't run fast, you have no ability to benefit from feedback. Google saw their way through a release and they confronted their customer with no ability to react. That is not acting with fiduciary duty. That's failure. Not having taken the time to learn through this approach. And if you can learn early, you can delight customers. But it's hard to gain the empathy of customers without actually walking in their shoes a bit. And that's the critical piece that multiple cycles allow you to do to really understand the problem and shape solutions that capture this opportunity. It is a system. It's a whole system we're talking about putting in. There are processes that change, as we've talked about. There are enabling infrastructure like DevOps that allows you to take those fast releases from engineering teams, get them to production so customers can experience them, but not get them to production in a way that's hazardous. But there's a guiding idea set. There's a mindset change that goes along with that was core back to the method I was talking about before of it's about cycle time, life cycle profits, innovation, and speed. You have to be able to balance that mindset with the mindset of delivering rock solid, stable, reliable upgrades to major systems and mainframes in your system and you have to balance execution and exploration. That's your job for the next 5 years. Our job is to help you with that, to go as fast and as far as you want. We do that and we look at it initially around the execution area. Number of customers, and we'll bring a couple of them up here. We'll talk about the folks from UHG who are working really extensively at the portfolio level to balance these fast-moving Agile teams and the learning that they're having in large waterfall projects and make that portfolio hum together to be balanced, the exploration and the execution. That becomes a critical way of running the system. When we think about these guys as different constituent parts of a whole, in the execution area, it's about changing your performance metrics across reliability, time to market, quality. It's about being able to bring that to scale, not just atomic teams, but teams of teams. Sometimes we call those trains. In the world of portfolio agility, it's tipping the teeter-totters back from so much on the keep the lights on business to more at least half growth and half execution on the keep the lights on stuff. It means being able to learn from the fast-moving teams where the demand is and to be able to step on the gas and swarm around those things. That's the potential when we bring the PPM and the ALM product sets together and allow you to be able to amplify the good things in the business and dampen those things that aren't going so well. And do that on a regular quarterly basis, not on just the annual cycle. And finally, when we talk about business agility, we'll talk a little bit about a couple of customers that'll be doing presentations today. We'll talk a little bit about Kristen Waller from PayPal, whose organization got to a place where about 40% of the teams were Agile, and they said, this is the only way for us to run. They spent 6 months figuring out how to make the transition to the rest of the entire PayPal and flash cut the entire organization over to this operating system. So they didn't have to balance anymore. They all lived in a world of faster execution and faster exploration. That requires aligning your business to deliver the flow of value faster. It requires bringing the product, the marketing teams and the business teams closer to those execution teams and bringing those ops teams in together so that the pipeline to get stuff out is measured in days, not quarters. That's business agility. It's about putting a drumbeat on the business that's not measured in years, but measured in quarters and months, that deals with reflection. That's the piece that's ready for what the next stage of what we're doing. To do that as an organization, the work that our transformational coaches do is help you set the vision, help you find the urgency, help you describe the minimal change to make those little steps along that expert curve and to keep going. As a group, it means bringing in your executives to chart a roadmap of how to get there over time. Because you can't boil the ocean in one day, you can't eat an elephant in one bite, whatever metaphor you want, you have to get there incrementally, and you have to be able to deliver and build upon those stair steps. It takes getting the executive team to a place to make the commitment. And then when they make that commitment, it has one last piece to it. It means setting a social contract with the rest of the organization about how you're going to bring them forward, what the training and education is going to be like, how you're going to support them, where the job changes happen to take place, what does it look like to build scalable programs of work and continuously fund them, as opposed to thinking purely in a project methodology. That's what is the journey that lies in front. That's what we're hoping that we've designed in the class, in the other sessions, in the Agile Transformation Zone across the entire part of the business. James is going to come back up. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can take those steps here at the conference over the next 2 days and find your way into your next right step. We don't need you to answer the question, where's the ultimate journey? What are all the steps? We need you to find the next right step. And the way to do that is by interacting with your customer partners who've done this and gone before you, and to find out what's right next for me, whether that's purely in managing the portfolio process and dabbling in the Agile piece, or it's running very quickly to an integrated solution set.
One last thought on the journey.
Yeah.
I think this is for our product teams. This has been a pretty exciting time. We have the market-leading PPM product that that frankly we've gotten there through you, through our customers. We've learned about how you're doing PPM, we've studied best practices, we've worked in a collaborative way to build a great product, a product where we can still make it better, but it's a great product. And now we've acquired and we have the world's leading Agile lifecycle management tool. And bringing those two things together, now what we're really excited about is as you're going through your digital transformation, you're going to be able to see across the entire portfolio of spend, all investments types, whether it's application development teams that are moving faster, whether it's project teams who might be working in a more waterfall method, but it's on a really large long-term project, whether it's keeping the lights on activities, being able to get insight and visibility across the entire portfolio. We think that's really powerful. We're excited about it. It started to actually fuel, I think what's good for customers to know is it's actually started to make a real difference in terms of marketing and sales for us, which shows that there's a market response to it. And that's good because that drives further investment in products when that happens. And so, like I said, it's been a really exciting time for us.
Yeah, so let's talk about customers. Huh?
All right, let's do it.
So, we've got a bunch of sessions by customers and a bunch of sessions obviously by folks from CA. We're going to go kind of back and forth. Tomorrow I'm speaking with Melissa Pickering, who's the Enterprise Portfolio Manager at Digital Globe. They're in charge, They provide a satellite network around the globe that can deliver a 1-foot resolution picture on the planet anytime. You can order it now and it'll be done in 6 minutes. They are an amazing organization that manages satellites as well as the deployment of systems for commercial customers and government customers, as well as online front-end ordering capabilities. And her journey through agility and how that makes it into her whole business is a great one to miss if you want to see that whole expert journey.
Perfect. We also have an analyst, Margot Visitacion from Forrester. Margot's been studying hybrid methods of projects for quite some time. She has seen lots of stories. She's seen where it works, she's seen where it doesn't work, lots of use cases, and how you can bring these two processes together as you're making maybe a potential transition and starting to adopt Agile. So a fantastic session to go if you want someone who's seen lots of patterns in the market and also an independent voice as well.
Chris, I'll do the PayPal. So I mentioned a little bit of PayPal already. Kristen was a keynote speaker at our Rally On conference in June. She will tell you the story of PayPal leading up to the tipping point and then beyond the tipping point. They're now a year past that, and their integration into how they run their portfolio and steer their portfolio of constant, stable programs of work and deliver work to those teams and flow that value through the system is an amazing story of what it looks like to be fully integrated.
All right, and then just a quick show of hand. How many PPM customers are here? If you could raise your hand. That's what we suspected coming in. So, any of you ever feel like PPM's a little bit of a compliance tool and you have to chase people down to put time in or to get status report and you have people hunting? I see some hands and head shaking. Well, a lot of times we've implemented PPM tools. There's many reasons for it, but one of the reasons can be implementing it with a viewpoint of management insights, but using compliance as the way to do it. Matt Morgan is going to talk about how he actually did a project in which the entire goal of the project was to drive adoption of the end user. And by getting adoption, you would get better data and better management insights. And so he's going to share how his organization did that. Matt's sitting right up front if anybody wants to speak to him afterwards.
So next slide. You're going to talk this afternoon about the Hopper work?
Yep, so for all of you PPM customers who have, if you're giving feedback to us on NPS, we read NPS. We love it when you engage in the NPS survey. Number one thing that our customers talk about is user interface. We recently hired a new head of design who was formerly of Flipboard, for any of you who use Flipboard. He was on the Shark Tank 2 years ago, the TV show, and was funded. He redesigned a lunchbox. Now he's here at CA, and he is working with us on the redesign of the user interface for PPM. And we're going to give an early preview of that at 1 o'clock.
So this session tomorrow, or this afternoon at 3, about removing the friction. If you see those two different operating models of bridge building civil engineers and crazy agilists, this is the piece of how do these two things go together. We've been very successful in being able to marry these two things in a hybrid world as well as in a pure play world of all Agile. And so Steve Demchek from the CA Agile Central team, as well as one of the PPM leads and product owners, will be talking about the integration and how those two products play together.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm really proud of that for the teams. Within the first 80 days of closing the acquisition, the teams delivered the first integration between the two products, and so I think it's a great session to attend.
Finally, Steve Demchek will join with Ryan Polk, our head of product management on the Agile Central side, and talk about the roadmap for that product set as it goes forward and it finds its way into more and more teams in larger and larger value chains across your entire business. That means extending beyond just development and ops teams, up into marketing teams and out into support teams.
All right.
So, finally, the Agile Transformation Zone. It's behind you. You'll see a bunch of people wearing the brightest orange shirts you've ever seen in your life, and it says Coach. Those are transformation consultants that have helped other customers along this journey at scale. And I mean at Cisco, at HP, at Intel, at Sabre, at UHG, at you name it, across multiple, at GE, to be able to figure out how to plot this journey for them and how to make it an enjoyable one. So take some time to explore that. It's open all day today and tomorrow. And now we're on to customers.
Customer rewards, the best part?
Yeah. One thing's for sure is when you start with the customer in mind, you will feel the pull of speed and you'll want to go there faster. If you start with the company and the internals as your center, you get a little lost in this world and it feels like rubbing. But when you keep the customer central, you will feel the pull of more and more speed, shorter and shorter cycle times, better and better design. So let's highlight some of them.
Let's do it. The first award. Go ahead and bring it up.
Oh, is it not there? Oh, look at that. It's not the award side.
Okay, so the first award goes to Sabre. Now, if we think about this for a second, when digital transformation started, wow, travel industry, they get hit very, very early on. And you think about what Sabre does in providing services that not only compete against other online booking services, but then also providing that same services to airlines like American Airlines. This is a complex set of technologies working at scale, and Sabre is getting the Visionary Award because they saw pretty early on that they needed to be able to connect PPM and the portfolio and financial management with how the work was getting executed, which was happening in Rally, now Agile Central. And so I'd like to invite up Jane Strauss for the award. Thank you. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, and I think we take a photo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
All right. So the second award, I've already previewed this award. This award is going to United Health Group. It is going to be accepted by Matt Morgan. And when I spoke earlier, I gave a pretty big plug to your session. I think this is something that a lot of folks are struggling with, which was not just how do we implement them, right? But how do we get to improvement? And so Matt is going to accept the award on behalf of the United Health Group for the Improvement Award. Hey, thanks, man.
Matt, nice to see you. Yeah. We're posing, yeah, exactly. I think Ken from UHG is also doing a session tomorrow. So if you're really interested or you're in the medical space, there is a customer session from UHG from one of Matt's partners, Ken.
All right, last, Mike Gregoire stole our thunder on this one during his keynote, but it is Philips. And Rob Brule is going to accept the award. It's pretty interesting what Philips did. Philips did they did a rollout at scale across 3 major product groups in Western Europe. They're looking to take it global, but when you take a look at how quickly they were able to roll that out, it was pretty impressive. And one of the things that Mike mentioned is that you guys did a 60% improvement in your project lead time. after implementing PPM, and I thought that was a really impressive metric. And so, accepting the award on behalf of Philips is Rob Brule, and this is the Progress Award. Thank you.
Rob, thank you. That's very nice. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys, I'll say a couple of words, and then we'll close. You and I can close it together?
Sure.
All right.
Absolutely.
Guys, thank you. We've got, as we mentioned before, a lot of excitement in the business. A lot's changed over the past year. I think one of the things Ryan and I talked about as we were preparing for this is really what are our jobs? Our jobs are to be your technology partner. It's to make sure that the products that we serve you through today and the services, that they work for you today and account for your needs today and improve them where they don't. But it's also to be thinking ahead about tomorrow and thinking about what are the next set of things that you guys might need. Whether we build those things, whether we acquire those things, how do we bring them together so that they work well, and as you expect them, they have the quality that you expect. There are the services that help you do the transition, and we have an ecosystem of partners around us that can help us do it at scale.
I liked Mike's picture today of the domestique, of the rider in front, right, that's breaking the wind for you. We're here to save your energy, we're here to plot that path, we're here to meet you where you're at, and we're here to help you chart your journey. We're going to do the hard work. We've already started doing that. The folks I know, I speak for all the employees from Rally who've joined CA, and a number of them are here in the coaching setting. We are here to take this to a whole nother level on a worldwide basis to solve some of the hardest problems. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
It's fun.
Yep.